Nick, congratulations. What a great way to start the 2012 World Series campaign. I'm not going to say out of the blue you won it, but I mean, there are a lot of names being thrown around there, and yours wasn't necessarily at the top of the list. So absolutely stunning performance in Motorland. Congratulations on that.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I mean, as you said, there's a lot of big names in the championship this year, and to go and win the first race obviously shocked a fair few people. I mean, I know what I'm capable of, so I didn't shock myself that much. But still, to beat those people is a great way to start the season, and gets my confidence up straight away.
And I get the impression, just watching you from afar, that you kind of like the power of a World Series 3.5.
Yeah, well, I think so. Yeah, I mean, in the Formula Renault class, I was actually quite. But in the World Series class from GP3, I managed to make a big impression straight away. And I do like a bit more power, a bit more performance, and overall grip, really. Yeah.
So if we just look at that win, a lot of it stemmed from that fabulous qualifying lap of yours in the closing minutes. So competitive in World Series this year, and so many great names, as you say. And you qualified P2 for that race. Just tell us about that lap and the pressure you're under.
Yeah, well, after the first set of tyres, we were struggling a little bit. I think P9 or something like that, which wasn't great. But we made a few changes to the car, which obviously paid off. I did the lap on my second lap and just went for it. Really pushed, got a good gap, and managed to come over the line fourth on my first lap, and then went and jumped up to P2 on my second.
Yeah, great lap. And what was the atmosphere like? I can imagine what the atmosphere was like within your team, Comtech, but I should think the pit lane was pretty stunned after that first qualifying session.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Obviously, in the team, they were all over the moon because they haven't had a result like that for a while. But in the pit lane, I got lots of congratulations. Obviously, I finished second in the last race last year in Barcelona anyway, so I have proved I can do it before. But it is a stronger field, I think. Well, more depth within the field this year anyway. So to go and do that, people were very impressed.
And then you took the lead from the start, then a safety car came in, which can't be the most pleasant of things because you got a lot of time to think about the race ahead of you when it was so early, when the safety car is deployed so early.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, on the first 3/4 of the lap, I had already like 1.52 seconds. I had a really good first lap and just went on a qualifying run sort of thing straight away. And then the safety car was called out, which was a bit annoying. But, you know, you just deal with what you get. And yeah, I had time to think about it, but I just thought, right, this is my race. So that was it.
Well, the perfect attitude. Carlos Huertas, who we know from British F3 with Carlin and Double R over the few years, very experienced initially chasing you, but then later on the pressure was from Jules Bianchi, and we know how quick Jules is. So tell us about your mindset at that stage of the race when you knew he was there and there was going to be pressure from him.
Yeah, well, obviously everyone knows he's a very good driver, but it wasn't any different to anyone else. If anyone's catching you, you feel a bit more pressure. Obviously, I knew it was him and I knew he was coming, but I had a lot of DRS left. I still had 300 seconds left at the end of the race, so I didn't actually use that as well as I should have during the race to get a big enough gap, but still just made no mistakes and managed to win the race.
Well, that was going to be my next question, actually. DRS, a very interesting situation there now in 2012 with the new car, that you don't have activation zones, or detection zones for that matter. It's up to you to use it within a certain time limit. So can you tell us how that's working out in terms of using it on an individual lap? You want to go as quickly as possible. It must be very tempting to try to use it before the end of a corner, for example.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can get it a bit wrong, but the way the DRS works is obviously it stalls the rear wing. On a qualifying run, you want to be on it, you know, as soon as you come out the corner, straight on it, and it's a button on the steering wheel, which they're now changing to a paddle on the rear of the steering wheel, so you don't get cramp all the time. But yeah, you just want to be on it as fast as you can, all the time, really.
So, how many times would you have activated it, I'll say on that qualifying lap, when you actually had steering lock on the car?
Well, at Motorland Aragon, for example, there's turn one, which is the left hand, and a series of flat corners up to turn 5, and that opened the whole way up there, no problem. And then just obviously taking it off for the braking zone. So, I mean, you can keep it on for quite a high degree angle of corner, really.
But that means, as you just said, that you're effectively steering with one hand, correct? Or you were. And now that they're going to go to the paddle thing, it'll be different.
Yeah, I think with some drivers, you get used to it. But, you know, the first couple of sessions you really do get cramped because it's in an awkward position. Now the paddle, I tested the paddle. I was lucky enough to test that before we're going to get it, and it was better. But yeah, you do drive. You just drive. You have to go through the fast stuff. Yeah, just with one hand on the steering wheel.
But putting aside cramp or being uncomfortable, do you lose anything by not having both hands absolutely as you want them on the steering wheel? Which was one of the reasons for going to paddles in the first place, of course.
Yeah, exactly. No, not really. I think the first few times you do it, it's a bit unnerving because you know if you lose it, then you do only have the one hand on the steering wheel, but you're not too far away from being able to grab it with both hands, so it's not the end of the world.
Nick, didn't have a great qualifying for race 2. It looks like you changed a bit on the car, and as a result of not qualifying that well, you got involved in a bit of traffic. Why did you want to change anything on the car after race 1?
Well, I just wanted to find that extra little bit, and I suffered with a bit of understeer in the first qualifying, which didn't allow me to, get onto the throttle early enough on the exit. So we tried to change something with that, and there was actually a dramatic change in the track as well, which made us go far too far and just wreck the complete balance of the car, really. And as you said, starting in the midfield, I think I got to 7th at the first corner around the outside, but then I got clipped, and that's the end of the race, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, tell us about Motorland, that circuit.
Okay, well, to be honest, when I first went there, I didn't really like it. Obviously, now I've won there, it's started to become more of a favourite. But I mean, it's quite a technical circuit. There's a lot of high-speed corners into really slow corners. So as you're turning, you're having to brake and balance the car. It is actually a really fun circuit to drive, but it's quite hard to learn.
A little bit different then from the next circuit coming up, Monte Carlo.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've never been there, but I'm looking forward to it a lot. Obviously, it's very prestigious, and to win there is awesome. But I've got my simulator time in the next week, so time to get down to business and learn it there.
What simulator are you using?
I'm using the base performance one in Banbury.
Great. Well, Nick, thanks so much for sharing that with us now, and very best of luck for Monte Carlo. It's going to be an amazing weekend there. Obviously, the Formula One on parade as well, GP2 and GP3 and World Series. What a weekend of racing that's going to be, and a lot of British fans going to be rooting for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick.